Hey everybody, coming to you live from the interior of my TJ. It's an 03, well, Rubicon, so it's a 4-liter. I got an automatic. You'll see next to us here is the computer data. Now, I drove on some errands, running some errands before, so I let it sit. It's been sitting now for 20 minutes. So you'll see the intake, the IAT is 156 degrees. Engine coolant is at 188. We're not going anywhere, and the thing's not even running right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to drive through town a little bit, and you can just see what driving at city, city speeds are. 30s, 35s, 40s, somewhere in there. And then what we're going to do is we'll take it out and we'll get on the interstate. And because I'm in South Dakota, some of the interstate will be at 65 and some of it will be at 80. And we'll just see what the under the hood IAT temp ends up being as we drive. The goal with all this work is to figure out a way to reduce the IAT down to within 10 degrees of the outside temperature. Right now, on Saturday, December 4th, in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, it's 41 degrees. So keep in mind, it's 41 degrees. And there's almost no wind here today, which is kind of weird. It's always windy here. Anyway, here we go. Did everything stay connected? Seems to have stayed connected. IAT's coming down pretty quick. All right. Here we go. I sure hope this works. I've had all this gear and I've had plenty of time to get used to it and figured how I need to adapt it so that in situations like this, everything works like it's supposed to. It's just fun because I'm not always sure that I've got all the settings right. We'll see how it goes. So far, I've done nothing to this besides whatever maintenance has been necessary. It needs a TPS sensor replacement, and I was going to do the idle air controller at the same time, just because why not? That'll be fun, because I don't know if the TPS requires a relearn, so I guess it'll be another fun learning experience. So far, I have done the turn signal switch replacement that's needed, because that died. I had to replace the rear window because somebody broke it. That was all kinds of interesting. I replaced the sub in the center console. If you want to know what the parts and the situation was there, it's not complicated. If you have any patience and half a brain, you can do that. The only real thing you need to know is that the sub that I'll indicate is the one I used requires the rear plastic fascia to come off, and then it fits in perfect. So, all kinds of fun we're going to have here off in the future. There's a couple of little things we got to do on the way home, which will be the stops we're going to have while we're trying to negotiate the last leg of our running errands today. But now we're just blowing time, catching data. I'm thinking about replacing the T-stat because the coolant temps sometimes are all over the place. That makes me nervous. So here's what I'm planning on doing. I'm going to put a hood vent in. And yes, I know that screws up the airflow according to the engineers. But these same engineers who engineered this airflow to whatever have also managed to screw up so many other things on this vehicle that those engineers, I'm not really worried about what they were thinking at the time. I think I can fix it. Or make it better at least. So we're going to do that. Try to make it better. So I'm going to be quiet now and just drive. I'm not good at being quiet. I'm also thinking about putting in a big tranny cooler. There's a tranny cooler that's way oversized for my other four-wheel drive vehicle, which is a 3/4 ton Suburban with the 8.1. I forget exactly which one it is. I think it's Max Cool 40K, maybe. Excuse me. But that's the one I'm contemplating for even this thing too. It'll increase the capacity some, and hopefully will help keep things cooler, especially when I'm meandering off-road. Yeah, I gotta fix that too. The oil pressure signal sender needs help. And I replaced it once, hoping that was as simple as that, but it still is mostly non-functional. That's not an OBD2 digital signal. It is only a on or off signal here at the dash. So that's another one I'm trying to adapt. I did buy a reasonably expensive, no, it was cheap, 3-gauge, I think it's 1 7/8 cluster or gauge cluster. One of those is oil pressure, one is voltage, and one is coolant temperature. I got to get that all sorted out. I think I might keep that gauge cluster under the hood, so that I've got a working bit of data while I'm working under the hood. The purpose of that one is to make sure that when I'm driving, or idling, I actually have oil pressure. The gauge says I don't, and that makes me a bit uncomfortable. Now, I have let it idle a few times with the gauge at nothing, and it doesn't give me an indication that it's not pumping oil. It should get noisy a little bit, and it doesn't. It stays quite reasonable, idling, hot, wherever. So I'm not really worried about that one as much, but I've got parts to play with it. I bought a adapter. It screws into the block, and then on that adapter there are 2 ports. One will get the sensor, and the other one will get the output for the analog oil pressure gauge. It's going to go wherever under there. I just haven't done it yet. So doing a little quick math, it's 39 degrees out here. This is almost 300% outside air temperature, the IAT. Of course, now I drive and it'll fall down because that's kind of how it works. But the plan is to, again, the plan is to get it so that the IAT is within 10 degrees of outside consistently. So we're going to put a hood vent on to get all the extra heat out that we can. And then there's 1 or 2 more little things I'm going to do to really tweak it. And we'll just have to really tweak it. So now it's time to get a... Actually, I'm not doing this today. I'll just order it and come back and get it later. I don't really feel like screwing around with it now. So again, this thing is completely stock. The only, actually, maybe I shouldn't say that. The guy I bought it from, he changed tires at one point, and they're not exactly stock tires, so the speedometer's off by about 4 miles per hour, give or take. So. It's interesting. So when I stop to pick up this little thing quick, I'm going to just leave you idling here. And you can watch the data while the thing just sits and idles for a few minutes and just watch what happens. It should not be like this. I mean, engineered and left like this. But whatever. My guess is that the engineers at Chrysler, when they put all this together, they weren't, I shouldn't say guess, they weren't looking to solve all the world's problems when they engineered the 2003 Wrangler, or the TJs for that matter. They were just looking to throw together a reasonable vehicle and get it on down the road. Hey, do me a favor, down in the comments, leave me messages for things that you think you would want to see with painful slowness and description, or if you just don't really care. I'm thinking about going and picking up a used 4-liter and then rebuilding it. Not carried away with cam, but putting some new cam in it. Crank. There's an intake idea I've got that is ridiculous, but who knows? Maybe it'll be sweet. I don't know. Anyway, I gotta run inside and grab a thing. Stay here. Don't let anybody steal the Jeep while I'm gone, okay? There we go. I could spend some money in here. These guitars. I wonder how much the temperature is up now. This should be interesting. It's not horrible. Okay, I'm surprised I haven't got a text yet. Are you ever coming home? I'm thinking about it. I guess we'll see. Although maybe you guys saw one there on the message while I was gone. I guess we'll find out later. Still recording, still have good audio, at least I think. Now let's drive. So, now we're gonna drive. A little more in town to go get on the highway and then kind of go from there. Wow, I should not be allowed to come back here. If I ever have any money to come back here, I'll have less money. Probably a lot less. Okay, barbecue stuff. Oh, yeah. Okay, so now it's just a little bit of city driving. It's 42 degrees now, according to the T-stat thermometer. But we were sitting there for a while, and I'm sure that will come down pretty quick, because I believe the thermometer is, or the pickup at least, is right in front of the radiator. I think. So it doesn't take much, and the temp comes up and stays up until you cool it off. We're almost there. So this is the before. The IAT is 120, well, 120. And that's just the intake temp. The under the hood temp is hot. When I first bought this thing, I forget what I was doing. I had to go and I cranked the hood after I've been driving it for a bit just to, if I'm gonna fix something or look at something, or there was some reason I cracked the hood just to check on things, and I was blown away by how hot it was when I opened the hood. It was so hot that I couldn't work under the hood. It was blowing so much heat out. Now this was summertime. And granted, we're in South Dakota, so it was plenty warm. It wasn't hot. It wasn't Tucson hot. But it was too hot to work under the hood. Just between you and me, this is a test video I'm doing. There's a whole nother YouTube channel and Instagram account that I'm working on developing. It'll be more or less a detailing of adventures out, not just with the Jeep, but the Jeep will certainly be a part of it. As I get closer to rolling that out, I'll keep you updated. I'll do some more teasers. These teasers are fun, right? And I know I will have to produce good content because I'm not 110 pounds and busty. I actually have to be good at this. So I'm going to do the best I can to produce good, quality, interesting video of real, interesting adventure type anything. Real quality. Not just bouncing, jiggly giggling. I mean, there's a place for that, but I'm not going to do that on my channel. So here we are, 68. Again, it's 37 degrees. Intake temp is now down to about 200% of outside. And just for what it's worth, and all the research, all the background I did in kind of getting all this started, between 150 and 200% is generally where the IAT lies most of the time. And I've been checking this out for a while in a variety of temperatures, not just this chilly. Whether it's 75 or 35, it always seems to be about 150 to 200% is what the IAT generally is while you're moving. And then once you start idling for a while, it goes, well, a lot higher. Speed limit here is 65. That's about what we'll do. Again, as far as I can tell, it's not windy at all today. It's pretty calm. Actually, it's very calm now. There's almost no wind. So my hope with the hood vents will be, well, actually, it's going to be two things to solve this problem. The hood vents, and I'm going to go buy the rigid hold downs for the hood. The bouncing hood in the wind on the road is incredibly distracting to me. I can't relax driving this thing with the hood bouncing as much as it does when I'm driving on the highway. So every time it bounces, I think, oh, that's it. We're about to wreck the windshield and the hood, and I am going to have an accident. So rigid hold downs and the hood vents, hopefully, will keep the hood from buffeting like it does. Plus, it will reduce underhood temperatures. I don't intend to do a lot of crazy off-roading with my Jeep. I don't really have much of a desire to drive through any real water. If the water is going to be higher than my top of my wheels, I'm not interested. I'm not worried about hydrolocking the engine because I'm not going to drive through water. My plan is to install a duct just in front of the airbox, and then have the duct feed the airbox, so then filter it, and then through the intake. Then there's a thing I'm going to do to the intake. At one point I want to take the intake manifold and the exhaust off. I want to replace it with the exhaust with a header, but I'm going to wrap the header to try to keep as much of that heat inside. Let's see what that'll do. So the intake gets the manifold gets pretty hot with the exhaust that close to it. Just what I can do to keep the radiant and conductive heat at a minimum. So we're doing 67-ish, 35 degrees. IAT is at 64.5. Now it's time to get on 90. And in South Dakota, speed limit at 90 is 80. Had I been thinking, I would have set up my other camera on the outside and get a little exterior footage so you don't have to look at me the whole time. But you're stuck looking at me because I didn't think ahead enough. Alright, let's hit 80. Then we'll set the cruise. at 80. Oh, the hood buffeting. It is so distracting. So I'm hoping that the vents I put in, and the vent I'm thinking is ridiculous. It's ridiculous over the top. But it's not a poison spider because I'm not the same as everybody else. I'm gonna run my own. I'm gonna go my own way on this deal. I hope you can hear me okay. It's a little noisy in here, as all of you TJ owners know. There's a little bit of background noise. There's a lot of background noise. This is frustrating. Come on, people. Why can't we just be reasonable drivers? Come on. But I think so far I won't have to bust out the sensor tone on this anywhere. I think I've managed to keep my language reasonable. I think. Goodness. I'm not sure what's going on here, but I don't want to do this anymore. I don't understand why we're having these crazy issues like this. I assume all the rest of you talk to yourselves while you're driving too. I'm not the only crazy person who does that. Ooh, nice ZL1 Camaro. In red. Nice. Alright, here's a little more city driving, just to see how it comes back. I'm not exactly sure I was driving and pay attention to the road, not the gauge. So I'm not 100% sure what the lowest temperature we reached was. It was in the 60s though, or did we hit 59? I don't know. So now we're back in a small town again. Speed limit here in a second is going to be 30. So we're going to keep it slow. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the little directional swivel-y plastic piece. I'm going to take that off the airbox and just see what that does to temp. I'm going to do the other secret thing that I'm going to do that I'm not talking about because I think it's going to be, well, it'll either be profound or it'll be nothing, whatever. But we're going to try. There's a secret thing I want to try. And if it works, then I'll make a big deal about it. If not, I just won't bring it up. And then just kind of go from there. So that's the plan at this point. Hopefully this didn't turn out garbage. Technology's around just to remind us who's in charge frequently. So, all right, guys, thanks for joining me. We are pretty much done with this test. I'm going to shut it all off now. Thanks for visiting. If you're interested in the follow-on adventure channel, subscribe to this one so that when the next one comes out, because I'll leave one of the teaser video here too on the old channel, so that if you subscribe to this one, then when the new one hits, you'll be able to jump on board that one. Kind of go from there. The new channel is going to be, well, adventure. Some of it's going to be over the top, but some of it will be very reasonable. Some will be by myself, some will be with my wife, some will be with my kids, and some will be with friends. It just kind of depends on what it is. My wife does not want to jump out of an airplane. Friends of mine do not want to jump out of airplanes. I want to jump out of an airplane. That's one of them we're going to do. But we're going to talk about nuts and bolts. A lot of this stuff we're going to talk about nuts and bolts on the new one. Kind of like this work we're doing here. It's a lot of really boring data work. Well, some of the stuff on this new channel is going to be the fun of it, plus the boring data work too. So you all know if and when you want to try it, what to expect. So that's what I got. We're almost done here. You guys take care. Have a nice day. Remember, subscribe to this channel so you can get the next channel. And I'll roll all the other stuff out as I get it done. Excuse me, as I get it done. I can't think of anything else. Have a nice day.